2 months after Japan's victory in the Russo-Japanese War, on November 17th, 1905, Japanese troops marched into the Korean royal palace. At their head stood Ito Hirobumi. Just 2 days earlier, Ito had met Emperor Gojong and announced Japan's plan to strip Korea of its diplomatic authority. Startled, Gojong rejected the proposal, but Ito left after delivering a threatening remark. "Do as you wish, but whatever happens afterward, I will take no responsibility." On November 17th, Ito returned with armed soldiers, intimidated Korea's ministers, and signed a treaty without Gojong's approval. This was the Yulsa Treaty Second Japan-Korea Agreement. Its main provisions were loss of diplomatic sovereignty. Japan would handle all foreign affairs, effectively ending Korea's independence. Establishment of the Residency General in Seoul, under a Japanese resident general. Beginning of internal interference, which soon expanded beyond diplomacy. Alarmed by Japan's actions, the American minister, Horace Newton Allen, reported the situation to Washington. Gojong also sent letters to President Theodore Roosevelt, protesting Japan's illegality. But no nation responded. Japan had already secured support from the great powers. In April 1904, Japan's advisor, Kaneko Kentaro, traveled to the US to persuade Roosevelt, telling him, "We Japanese dress like Americans, share Anglo-American values, and will spread them throughout Asia." Roosevelt accepted this argument and tacitly approved Japan's plan to take Korea's foreign rights. In July 1905, the US and Japan reached the Taft-Katsura Understanding, in which the US agreed to recognize Japan's dominant position in Korea in exchange for Japan, renouncing any intention to invade the Philippines. Japan also negotiated with Britain. From the Anglo-Japanese alliance, Japan had the clause guaranteeing Korea's independence removed. In return, Britain recognized Japan's interests in Korea and expanded the alliance's scope to India. This became the Second Anglo-Japanese Alliance. Thus, by the end of 1905, all diplomatic initiative on the Korean peninsula had fallen into Japan's hands. Japan then stripped Korea of its diplomatic authority and turned it into a protectorate. Military officers stood in the negotiation chamber. Ministers who opposed the treaty were removed, and the signing was effectively forced. Korea was now a nation, incapable of dealing with the international community on its own. Japan established the Residency General, and Ito Hirobumi arrived in Seoul as the first resident general, placing the Korean government under strict surveillance. In 1907, shortly after Emperor Sunjong's enthronement, Japan demanded place the Korean army under Japanese command or disband it. This decision effectively destroyed Korea's national defense. Korean soldiers fiercely resisted. A deadly urban battle broke out in Seoul, and uprisings spread across the country. Some units refused to surrender their weapons, choosing instead to barricade themselves and fight to the end. Many were killed. From this struggle emerged the Righteous Army movement, as farmers, scholars, and former soldiers rose up and fought Japan for more than 3 years. In 1909, the assassination of Ito Hirobumi in Harbin shattered the balance between moderates and hardliners within the Japanese government. Many today believe Ito opposed annexation, but because he was assassinated by An Jung-gun, Korea was annexed. However, this is inaccurate. Ito did not oppose annexation itself. He merely believed the timing was premature. He preferred a gradual method that would reduce resistance, saying Japan should wait until Koreans would want to become Japanese. Moreover, before his death, he had already expressed agreement with Foreign Minister Kimura, Jutaro, and Prime Minister Katsura Taro, both annexation hardliners. With Ito gone, figures like Kimura and Terauchi Masatake seized full control, pushing the policy forward. Annexation must be carried out quickly and decisively. Japan took over Korea's finances and completely placed policing and security under Japanese military authority, preparing for full annexation. In 1910, under overwhelming military and political pressure, Japan forced the Korean government to sign the annexation treaty. The palace complex was entirely controlled by Japanese troops. Korean guards were gone. Japanese soldiers encircled the palace, watching every movement from outside. Although the treaty was framed as a transfer of national sovereignty to the Emperor of Japan, in reality, it was a coercive treaty signed under military occupation. Ministers who opposed it were removed, leaving no room for true decision-making. Thus, Korea was placed under Japan's rule by law as well as in practice. After the treaty was proclaimed, the remaining units of the Korean Imperial Army attempted to rush to the palace to defend it, but Japanese troops blocked them. "Lay down your weapons." Entry to the palace is forbidden. The soldiers were outraged. Our country has been sold. And yet, the last guard of the throne is barred from entering. How can we protect our emperor? One by one, their rifles were seized and their formations were broken apart. Then came the tragedy. Unarmed Korean soldiers were led outside the four great gates of Seoul: Hyunginjimun, Seungnimun, Dongnimun, and Changwimun. There, Japanese machine gun units were waiting. From the very pavilions built to protect the nation from invaders, Korea's own soldiers were gunned down. Those who fled, cried out, or ran toward the palace were all caught in the hail of bullets. A witness later recalled, young men in imperial uniforms fell in heaps, one upon another. With this massacre, Korea's last remaining military force, as a sovereign state, was destroyed. At that moment, the Korean peninsula fell completely and irreversibly under Japanese rule. Following annexation, key government posts were filled by Japanese officials. The Korean royal family remained only in name, and the righteous army was brutally suppressed. Silence and despair spread throughout society. Yet, deep within the hearts of the people who witnessed these tragedies, small sparks of hope began to burn. Sparks that would later ignite the Korean independence movements, both at home and abroad, shaping the course of modern Korean history.